Right now on Denver 7 News at 4, high school students left shaken on their last day of school after reports of a student with a gun on campus prompts a lockdown.
She wasn't picking up for a while, so I got scared because I was like, what if something happened to her? I don't know. Like, is she okay?
We have a live update with the latest. And as families and the community of Uvalde continue to grieve, new questions about the police response and how the suspect made it into the school.
AI is helping to detect the health issues humans may miss. It can even be trained to identify race in medical images. How doctors are working now to make sure that doesn't impact treatment. And as more schools consider switching to a 4-day school week, we're looking at what's working and what's not from others who have already done it.
Plus, even in the digital age, it's hard to replace unboxing a personal gift. We take a look at one Colorado company making sure your loved ones are taken care of on every occasion.
They rushed in and all that. We didn't see that.
Some of them just stood there and said to myself, well, why aren't they going in?
Questions from grieving families tonight about why police didn't stop the Uvalde gunman sooner after police say the suspected gunman was inside Robb Elementary School for almost an hour before he was shot and killed by a responding officer. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Jason Grenauer. Right now, investigators are going frame by frame through surveillance video showing the suspect entering the school through an unlocked back door. Authorities say the gunman was inside Robb Elementary for 40 minutes before he was killed by a Border Patrol SWAT team member. 19 children and 2 teachers were killed.
Our officers, when they engaged, they were doing everything they could. There are broken windows where agents were trying and officers and law enforcement personnel were trying to evacuate some of the children. Our agents acted swiftly and very heroically.
Law enforcement says Salvador Ramos' shooting spree began with his own grandmother. He shot her in the face and then took off in her truck before crashing about a block and a half from the school. Then, dressed in tactical gear, police say he ran toward the school with a backpack and AR-15 style rifle. The suspect's motive remains unclear at this time.
These crosses outside the elementary school in Uvalde, Texas, are honoring the 19 children and 2 teachers killed in this week's mass shooting. Today, we're learning more about who those victims were. You can see these photos of some here on your screen. One was Amory Joe Garza, whose father was a first responder on the scene that day. He got the news from his daughter's best friend.
She was hysterical, saying that they shot her best friend, that they killed her best friend, and she's not breathing, and that she was trying to call the cops. And I asked the little girl the name, and she told me, and she said, Amory, how do you look at this girl and shoot her?
Family members of the 2 teachers killed in the shooting say they heard from authorities that the pair were trying to shield their students when they died. Chris Stewart is in Uvalde with a look at the support coming in from the community and how you can help.
Before this week, you may have never heard the name Uvalde, Texas. This is a small town surrounded by miles of ranch land, a name, though, that is now known across the world after the shooting that has happened here this week. You can take a look behind me. We're here in the town square. You can see flags that are now flying half-staff. And many people have asked, what can they do to help? We talked to a group that is all too familiar with facilitating donations after events like this.
To be honest with you, I've lost count. And that's a sad comment, but that's literally where I'm at. I'm a little numb.
He's with the League of United Latin American Citizens, or LULAC, the nation's largest Hispanic organization that helps communities with natural disasters and tragedies like mass shootings. Right now, LULAC is collecting donations. They say families of victims and survivors will be able to use at their discretion.
I mean, because of this, who knows, maybe someone may be out of work. Why would you have to even think or contemplate or even fathom that you would have to buy insurance on a 4th grader? I mean, let's just stop and think about that for a moment. So we know most of these children don't have any, didn't have any insurance, and these parents are going to be hurting to put them to rest.
He says LULAC has seen support come in from around the world and is encouraging anyone to donate to their local blood bank or to donate money at lulac.org. University Health in San Antonio is also collecting donations through its Uvalde Victims Relief Fund. There's also a GoFundMe page created by Victims First, which is a network of families who have been affected by mass shootings.
I can't say how much that means to us in Texas, and I can't speak on behalf of the families, but I can tell you that I felt a lot of coming together, and the community really coming together and saying, you know what, we're gonna get through this.
And as the grief and the pain continues to settle in this small Texas town, those donations will go a long way. In Uvalde, Texas, I'm Chris Stewart reporting.
Back here in Denver, a very long and scary morning for students and teachers. A lockdown at a Denver high school after a report of a student with a gun on campus. Denver 7's Bayan Wang has been at the school the whole day. Bayan, this all ended up being over a paintball gun.
Yeah, Jason, that's exactly right. This was all over a paintball gun, but let's be clear. Thankfully, this was just over a paintball gun and not a real gun. Many parents scared, many students scared as they were locked down inside. I really want to show you what this scene looked like from earlier. So let's go ahead and pull up some footage that we have. You can see the perimeter of the school was filled with officers as they searched for the alleged suspect. According to school officials, the school security guard received a report of a student with a gun on campus. Students in the campus gym were all evacuated first. Parents quickly began filing along the sidewalks, just desperate to reunite with their students, as you could imagine there. Some parents told us they actually had no idea what was going on.
She's scared. Everybody's scared. They don't know what's going on. We don't know if it's somebody active shooting inside or on the outside. Okay, I'm on my way. Okay, mommy. Okay, I'm on my way. Bye. Looks like my daughter is out.
And you could just see him run off there shortly after this video was sent to Denver 7 News, showing what appears to be two students being escorted off campus by police. All DPD has confirmed with us so far is that two people were taken into custody and charges have yet to be determined. Now, as for the rest of the schools in the Denver Public School District, we're being told that their last session will happen next week. But until then, you bet officials have increased security. We'll have a lot more at 5. Jason.
Our Bayan Wang outside Northfield High School there in Denver. Bayan, thank you. And after tragedies, we look at what needs to be done to prevent this from happening again. And there's been a lot of focus on mental health. Well, Denver Public Schools will soon require each of its schools to set aside 20 minutes a day dedicated to help with students' mental health. Denver 7's Veronica Acosta visited an elementary school that's had this program now for years.
New Lawn Elementary School sets aside 45 minutes a day towards students' social and emotional learning. They do 30 minutes at the start of the day and 15 minutes at the end of the day. Now, come next school year, the entire district will implement this time for all of its students.
6-year-olds in a circle isn't abnormal in an elementary school. But at New Lawn Elementary, these 6-year-olds are doing more than just playing with a ball in that circle. Instead, they're taking nearly an hour out of their day to learn things like the fair ways to play, share, even take turns. Classroom 119 isn't the only one doing this. Upstairs in Mrs. Etter's 4th grade classroom, it's the same story with a more grown approach.
We ask them things as simple as, how are you doing today? Are you ready to learn? And then we also go a little bit deeper into some of the challenges they face at the playground. What are the conflicts you have? How can we solve them? And really going through steps so that they have tools to use.
This is all a part of Denver Public Schools' social emotional learning program. At New Lawn Elementary, this has been in place for 5 years. After the back and forth between remote and in-person learning, the district vowed to implement this at all of its schools.
It's teaching them emotion identification, emotion regulation.
Ashley Wessel is the student psychologist at New Lawn Elementary. She says after the past 2 years, it's time to address students' mental health face-to-face.
I do think, coming back from the pandemic, we saw that this really was a much more significant need than it had been in previous years. And so we're really putting priority and emphasis on it now.
It's exactly what Mrs. Etter does in her classroom.
I'm really excited for our day together.
Asking students share what they're feeling and helping them navigate through it.
District officials told me the expectation come next school year is that every school give at least 20 minutes to its students for that social and emotional learning. In Denver, I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
Meanwhile, a Colorado nonprofit is offering some other mental health services specifically for our state's Latino and Hispanic communities. Servicios de la Raza has people standing by ready to help.
We really try to be here as a support for community. We offer behavioral health services in both English and Spanish. We have weekly peer support groups where people could come in and just process with our peer specialists in English and Spanish weekly.
Now, the number we are going to put right there on your screen, and if you are not Latino and still need help, the nonprofit recommends contacting Colorado Crisis Services. That number there on your screen as well, 1-844-493-8255. The phone lines are always open and confidential. You can also text TALK to 38255. We know this is an extensive list. We've made it easier by compiling all of these resources, links, and how to contact them up on our website.
The COVID treatment Paxlovid will soon be more accessible as the first federal test to treat site opens today in Rhode Island. When someone tests positive there, they'll get access to Paxlovid right away. In the next few weeks, similar sites are opening in Massachusetts, New York, and Minnesota. This is to help even more people as COVID cases rise across the country. Vaccines protect us against severe COVID infection, but not as many long COVID symptoms. New research in Nature Medicine shows being vaccinated offers some protection from blood clots and lung problems, but it doesn't reduce the risk of other things like neurological problems or kidney failure following infection. Well, doctors see a lot of potential in AI to find those health issues that humans just can't detect. The technology is getting so good, it could even identify race in medical images. The efforts to make sure that doesn't impact treatment.
Also coming up as summer break starts, the trails start to fill up. Why you might want to make sure you have a few more bucks in your pocket before you head out the door.